My dear watchers, I am... Sorry, I had to do that. I am the prime demographic for watching Bridgerton, okay? I am a white, cis-het, 32-year-old lady, and I already really enjoy Hallmark movies, which granted I do watch them whilst I have a couple of glasses of wine whilst I'm cooking and I'm laughing at them at the same time, but the escapism, the aesthetic, the joy that it brings, the nice cuteness of it all, and you always know there's going to be a nice, heartwarming, happy ending. That's kind of what Bridgerton gives in Regency era, where the costumes are not accurate, nothing is historically accurate really, and it's an escape, a world of fantasy. And so what you're coming upon right now is a good faith criticism video, okay? I am not a 45-year-old man who thinks that the peak of entertainment is listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, nor am I someone that thinks that holding up a fish in a profile picture is going to get you a Tinder date, okay? So you are here in a welcoming space if you also really do like escapist shows. But of course, I am someone that likes to critique things, because you can enjoy things and critique them at the same time. And this season of Bridgerton definitely has given me a lot to think about this entire issue, which is why you clicked on the video to begin with. I have not read the books. Gasp! Horror, I know. I know that Anthony would not pick me for that reason, and it's okay because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want my recessive genes and my common as muck bloodline either. That's totally fine, fully accepted that fact. Let's get on into the video. I want to start off with like some of my thoughts about watching all of this, because I've watched the first season again before watching the second season, and I watched the second season twice to make sure I had a fulsome look at everything and then I could like pick up anything I missed, because I am one of those people that does get distracted by things. So yes, I've put in work for this. I've read some articles about it. I've also read some scientific articles about behaviour. So yes, let's get on into it, shall we? Of course, I'm creating this look on my face. It's very simple. Everything's cruelty-free, vegan, not owned by parent companies that test on animals, and it's also linked down below. Anyway, let's get on with the scandal. Seeing dark-skinned South Asian women actually be represented as lead romantic roles, both of whom are desired, can we just acknowledge the importance of this fact? Now, I've been following Seema Hari on Instagram for ages. Incredible influencer. I'm sorry, influencers actually do work. And you'll also know the importance of this fact given the issues with the first season and the colorism that existed in that, which when I watched it again, it's like, ooh, yeah, it's even more apparent on the second watch, especially in comparison to this series. And Khadijah talked about that all last year as well. Also, Simone Ashley and Charitha Chandran, they play their roles so perfectly. I think that they are stunning. Now, did it actually sadden me to not see Edwina, Kate and their mother actually wear like traditional Indian clothing? Yeah, it actually did. But when I was thinking about it as well, because I can't pronounce this word, I'll try. Lenga? I think it's pronounced Lenga. Like, can you imagine if they'd been waltzing in wearing those clothes? Like, wow. But I do understand from a costuming perspective, given the fact that they wanted to marry Edwina off to a British man, and of course, like, the exotic clothing of... oh, what? I don't even want to know what they'd call people from India back then, honestly. But anyway, like, I understand why they didn't, and I do also appreciate some of the Indian clothing accents that we saw in their clothing as well, because the clothing would have been made back in Bombay, right, to come over. So then, because they got off the boat and it was like straight away into business. So that's why I'm like, okay, I do understand, but wouldn't it have been stunning? I love traditional Indian clothes. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It would have also been more complicated to make than actually what the Bridgerton ladies typically wear. So... I just would have loved to see it, you know, I really would have. Did they dress Kate in Princess Jasmine colours all the time? Yeah, so this is a trope that does really frustrate me anytime it comes to Indian casting, because you always fall into the Aladdin trope, and it's like, so the movie Aladdin has enough problems in itself because it's literally based on, it could be based anywhere between north of Africa all the way over to India, and this was the 90s, they just made it like an amalgamation of everything, which isn't really all that great, let's just say. It's definitely got some issues. But again, they went traditional teal and purple, which are literally Princess Jasmine colours. I would know because I've seen all of their movies too many times. And it's just a trope that I see time and again in Hollywood, and it is quite frustrating. Does Kate look amazing? Yes. But if we could veer away from just those sorts of colours, then that would be great. Told you, I think too much about this stuff, I really do. The romance between Kate and Anthony, fully believable, 100%, totally get it. It was beautiful to watch, and also you could definitely see the appreciation for the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice and a callback to the 1990s version of Pride and Prejudice as well. Been really enjoying like all those little romance hints that they're just dropping in there, and it's like, see what you did there. One of the common complaints is the fact that there's not enough hanky-panky this season, especially after the first season. So, okay. Do you, dear watcher, believe that they would have gotten such a successful first season if there hadn't been such a notorious amount of hanky-panky in it? Because I certainly don't, personally. So, I do understand, like, different stories get told in different ways. There is some hanky-panky, but we've kind of like been replaced with corgis, and I'm sorry, but oh my gosh, what's his name? Newton? The dog's name is Newton, right? Absolute scene stealer, fully here for it, got no problems, no qualms here at all. They went the more traditional route of having it be like those little glimpses and stuff. Do I still think that Pride and Prejudice in 2005 did it a bit better with that famous hand flex? Yes, but this was good. I really did believe their relationship, their chemistry was great, that, oh, I thought it was done very well. You could say that their tactic for Charlie XCXLs worked. I mean, it still is on #1 trending, and I'm sure that you're probably sick of all of these videos that you're getting watching about it, but the tactic worked, so there you go. Now we're going to be getting more and more seasons of it, which brings me on to my next thing. Where was the LGBTQIA plus representation? Because there was a tiny glimpse of it in the first season, literally a tiny glimpse, and then in this one there's nothing. It's very heteronormative, and it's like nothing's historically accurate on this. I mean, it's like you can wear a daytime dress with nighttime jewelry. This is literally my wedding jewelry that I'm wearing right now. So it's like there could have definitely been storylines here. I know that the obvious choice would have been to go for Eloise to begin with, but I do almost get the feeling of, oh my gosh, what's his name? It's not Brighton, it's something. The artsy brother. I almost feel like there could be some sort of storyline in that down the track. That's just something that is lacking, and it's a bit of a shame to see because Shonda Rhimes has definitely like done that stuff in her other work, so why not this one? Why not Bridgerton? Because I'm sorry, anyone that tries to tell you that there were not gay people back then, there absolutely were. So I adored the commentary on the fact of the two eldest getting together and all of the weight and the duty and the family responsibilities and the emotional burden that they have to take on. I think that was portrayed very, very well. I really enjoyed it. Of course, like, I'm a bratty younger sibling, so I didn't deal with that stuff, but my brother definitely did. So I'm just not the right person to comment on that and talk about it as well, given my own experience with it, because that wasn't me. But I think there will definitely be content creators that are coming out with that. I just really appreciate the fact that we're seeing more of this representation and familial expectations and the weight on the child and children of all of this. I love the fact that we're seeing that media come out. So clearly we've got some elder siblings that are working on things now, and they're like, this is where I can get my free therapy by writing it all out. So I'm very here for that. Oh, also, I knew that I knew Lady Danbury's face. There was this TV show called Casualty back in the UK. I grew up watching it because it was in the 90s that she was in it. I knew that I knew her face from somewhere, so finally I had to IMDb that to find out. Anyway, let's get on into the real topic of today's video. Reputation, gossip and threats. What Bridgerton shows us is still very much alive and true today. Lady Whistledown, aka Penelope, aka a pseudonym for being a whistleblower, literally, who instead spends her time gossiping, gets cast aside as a wallflower and gets consistently overlooked not only because of her foolish family but also because of her looks. And so writing is a way that she can actually reclaim some power back in her life, which is a storyline that I fully understand, totally get it. The anonymity of writing, much as what we have with the internet today, gives you a sense of power, of control, because no one knows it's actually you that's talking like this. No one knows it's actually you that's spreading all of these rumors, all of this gossip. So there's a lot of power in that, in the same way that we see with chat forums, in the same way that we see with comments, the same way we see with meme pages, everything. Like, there's a lot of anonymity, that word, that allows people to be brutally honest and share very disparaging things. We've kind of gotten to a place where it's more fun to actually just make fun of something and put a meme up about something in a little quick Twitter quip or a TikTok, as opposed to like seeing the full nuance of the situation and actually seeing what the victims may be saying and seeing what the people involved may be saying. But you know, why do that, right? Now granted, where behaviour is repeated time and again, I do fully understand why people would be calling this stuff out, because it's like, well actually, these people have said that this was wrong, these people have said it was harmful and you're not listening to them, so in that case I'm like, doesn't seem like you're growing, does it, sweetie? Okay, bye. So you get what I mean? Penelope is in a position of power that makes even the Queen nervous. Now obviously this is an interesting turn on how it's actually the people with the power, which is something that, I don't know, corporations and politicians are starting to realise slowly one by one. It's an interesting turn on how it's actually the people with the power, and if the wafer-thin veneer of that illusion shattered, oh my, real change could actually occur, and that threat is very evident throughout this entire season. The Queen acts in accordance to Lady Whistledown's favour, and this is all at the same time as being determined to track down the mole, to squash the leak, and to crush them. I mean, get them on her side, right? Well, this is of course very easy to refer to today's world as well, where you see celebrities post things that they think will keep the people happy, the commoners happy. It's like, oh yes, they do care about what's happening in Ukraine, even though they've completely forgotten about Syria and all the other wars that have been caused. But they care about this one, so that's the one that matters. And you also definitely see this with politicians. I mean, people's entire jobs is to get a pulse check on society, on the people, and make sure that politicians are leaning into the majority views as opposed to the minority, and also keeping their main donors happy with the messaging. There's a lot that actually goes into all of this. I don't really want to say propaganda, but you know what I mean. So long as you can control the information that's disseminated, you can control the masses. I mean, really, why do you think Disney wants so badly to own so many news corporations? So bringing it back down to Bridgerton standards, let's talk about love and courtship in the realm of reputation and gossip, shall we? Now, I have mentioned before that my chosen kind of trash is a TV show called Married at First Sight. And I've also said before that I would have actually gone on that TV show as well if I got to the age of spinster Kate, because of being absolutely riddled with insecurities and not feeling good enough, and feeling like I needed a man to be able to complete my life. This is why I'm so grateful if you watch my adverts, because I really still do need to pay for therapy. Now, in this current season of Married at First Sight in Australia, we have our own version of Lady Whistledown, whose name is Olivia, and they happened to come upon the fact that one of their other wives actually had an OnlyFans page. And so what they did was they actually showed this picture that they'd taken from the Twitter. It's not directly from OnlyFans, otherwise you could be able to sue them for that, but you know how you have to advertise on Twitter first. They showed this picture around to a number of the other guests, but they were literally just sharing information that's out there. They're sharing the information that's available for everyone to be able to see it themselves anyway. So what's the actual problem here? Well, the thing is, this was done in a way obviously to slut shame and obviously to ruin the reputation of the victim, who's called Dom. And what happened was they orchestrated it so that this could get revealed in front of everybody else at a dinner table, because you know it's just part of the show anyway. They meet once a week for a dinner. They had the audacity to say all during all of this that I'm not slut shaming, I just want people to know that this is what's out there about them. And it's like, well, what was the point of doing that? Because if you came across it and people were actually talking about this, wouldn't you actually go directly to the person? Oh no, because you've got beef with them. How else are you going to ruin a woman's reputation than by making them look scandalous and promiscuous? My gosh, how dare you have a job in Charlie XCX work? That's not real work, don't you know, you whore? Ugh. So anyway, this all went down at the dinner table, and to my absolute horror, it was typically the women who were actually slut-shaming and attacking Dom, the person who had an OnlyFans business. And it's like, literally saying lines, well, if you put it out there, then this is just what you're going to get. That was the attitude of so many of the women, and even getting to that point, she used one of the other bumbling husbands who doesn't have any tact to be the one to actually bring it up in front of people, say, what about these naked pictures of you, in front of everybody at a dinner table, completely blindsiding them, obviously on purpose. I know that the producers were probably involved, but anyway, this is all still down to the whole reputation gossip slut shaming issue. The concern was about what will her husband think of this, as opposed to concern for her, this getting leaked on international TV, where this can directly affect your job prospects. All sorts of issues can come from this. Her husband stood up for her, by the way, which is fantastic. She'd also been honest with him about the fact that she had actually done this work as well, because it is work. It is. And so she was stuck there having to try and defend herself the whole night in front of all of these people, and now her reputation was ruined in the eyes of most of the other contestants. But clearly the whole purpose of it was to shame them. But this is just sharing information that's out there. But where does that line actually get drawn? This is today that this stuff is going down, and there are still people that are slut shaming Dom online, and it's disgusting. So when we're on about the power of reputation and the power of gossip and ruining people, it is very incredibly true. And the impacts are just as real in the Bridgerton world. Like, the entire point was to ruin this woman in the same way that Lady Whistledown is there to ruin people and to steer people to her favour and manipulate people, and also to get the favour of Eloise, because obviously it's Penelope, and so she's trying to do stuff to appease like what her best friend is saying. Now, I've already talked more about this in my entire video made about like why we hate each other, so go check that out. I'll link it at the end for you. But the impacts are so real in the Bridgerton world that you could be forced into a marriage for accidentally being in the wrong place with a man, which can easily get manipulated because the pressure of society is so strong that it can sway people to do things based on what is proper and what is right. You can even see this with Antony's relationship with the opera singer, where she had to be kept in shame and was not worthy of marrying him at all because of her rank. Now, Edwina's character is particularly interesting in this because she literally is a product of self-monitoring and internalizing everyone's views around you and making sure that she had her sister Kate's approval the entire time, constantly flickering back. Like, the looks were evident in the first watching, but in the second watching, like, you can really notice how much she is carefully making sure to be the proper person that she should be. The perfect marriageable lady, would you say? From the way that she carries herself to the conversation that she makes, she becomes the embodiment of everything that a proper woman should be, because of course, like, without knowing it, she's got the entire weight of like Kate and their mother's like livelihood on her shoulders, which is why Kate has trained her so well to be the perfect wife. But to the point where she doesn't really even know herself, because they've obviously been so busy trying to pretend to be these people that they believe they should be, based on, of course, societal norms and pressure. Like, Edwina was even just picked to be the diamond, reduced again to being an object, because the Queen knew that they could trust them because they hadn't been around, so they could not be anything to do with Lady Whistledown. But because she got labelled as a diamond, literally being labelled as a prize to be won, wow, another Aladdin flashback.
Standing around deciding my future? I am not a prize to be won.
It meant that, of course, duty and reputation driven Anthony was going to pursue her. But everyone pursued the diamond because that's who they're supposed to want, because they've been told that's who they're supposed to want. Which is why when that power is called into question, the Queen like fights to gain that power back, because of course her stamp of approval is the thing that builds people's reputations, and she doesn't want her own reputation ruined, which is what Lady Whistledown is doing, because they're actually the ones with even more power than the Queen. But it is nice at the end, the fact that she's actually starting to get to know herself, and the fact that she wants to know what true love feels like. I'm looking forward to what that brings in season 3, in all honesty. The thin line that all characters exist on in Bridgerton is akin to what we still have today, which I guess is why we're all gleefully watching Regency Gossip Girl again, you know? All of this falls under competitive reputation manipulation. And yes, there is science behind this. Our reputations are fragile and fleeting in a world where gossip spreads as fast, if not faster, than the word of Lady Whistledown. Now, while she only wanted to quote-unquote share the truth, the motivations were to get that social currency, the notoriety and respect that she never received at home nor from suitors. Where the news outlet can be bought by friendship or business, the news outlet becomes biased. Where attention is not wanted to wane and relevancy is sought, making everyone fear things is how you maintain control. And in a society that is more willing to ostracize in order to maintain their own social standing, where even the Queen abides by your opinion, it's a fresh kind of dystopian hell where everyone watches their back to not be excluded from an invite to a ball, where manipulation of social cues must be abided by for fear of risk of ruin of reputation, or a way to force a marriage, or just a way to ruin others entirely. It is a challenging balance, isn't it? It's definitely one that we're still coming up against today, and I definitely still deal with this too with every single video that I make. And I'm not even a news source. To accurately show what someone's been doing, to share with people the things that companies are actually doing which they're trying to hide from people. What's the purpose of it all? To inform? But I am very biased and judgmental myself. I mean, let's not forget that. I am a Scorpio after all. So of course I'd be motivated to be peeling back the curtains on companies that have been testing on animals, that have been exploiting people, that have been purposefully marginalizing people. I would be motivated to be exposing those sorts of things. And of course, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I'll be highlighting the good and bad things that people have done and taking a fulsome view. But it's still talking about people, isn't it? However, when it comes to individuals, we do not know what each person is individually dealing with now, do we? Sure, it may seem harmless to be laughing at what cringy people are doing, you know, especially when people are just expressing themselves and sort of finding their way in the world, because, you know, like, these people are typically under the age of 25, right? So their brains are still developing, but people feel completely okay with mocking the absolute hell out of them. What's the purpose of making these videos laughing at these cringy people? Is it to mock them? Is it to shame them? Is it to educate them? Is it to create entertainment? Why should we feel so gleefully comfortable with ruining someone for our own gain? Now, this isn't just in terms of social media, this is in terms of life in general. This recently got exposed once again with the Oscars. It literally just happened as I'm filming this, as people are making memes out of the situation that happened between Chris Rock and Will Smith. I'm not going to show it here, and I've already talked about this on my stories, the fact that we should not be platforming this. What I'm talking about is the broader issue with the fact that people are memeing this and they're making fun of the people as opposed to like actually assessing the situation as a whole. Like there was literally no time between the two situations happening. The thing happened within an hour, memes, everything, everywhere. And it's like, whilst I do understand taking power back from situations and making fun of it, this was not our situation to be making fun of. This was a situation that involved those three people, including Jada, who we have not heard from so far as of filming this. And it's just one of those situations where people feel so entitled to what people are actually dealing with, like quite openly something must be going on for this to have happened, but people feel completely okay with being their own lady whistledowns when it comes to this situation. And that's the thing that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, to say the least, and completely triggering for people as well, because this was violence that was being shared again and again. I could not look at Instagram without it being everywhere. I can't look at YouTube today without it being everywhere, because I'm filming this on the Tuesday and it happened on the Monday. The thing is that these people get the clicks, they get the clout, they get the likes, and that is the currency that we run on, much in the same way that it ran in Bridgerton and still does run in Bridgerton in season 2. It's just gossip in an entirely different form, and it's something that humans, like I said, there's a lot of science behind this. It's something that humans are like prone to doing, because it's how you assess who is your friend and who is your foe. Do you really have to do that for international people who you won't be coming across in your day-to-day lives? You know what I mean? It's kind of gone, line goes up. It's kind of gone NFT with all of this. The thing is that the very real effects are still there, whether we're dealing with superstars like Will Smith or regular people that are just making TikToks about things that they don't really know about because they're still kids. And as I do each of my tragic icon videos, the effects become more and more apparent of the damage of this gossip that has been heralded as like being a good thing for so many years. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, of course I bring this back to ethics morality in one of my videos. You're so welcome. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Bridgerton season 2? Personally, I really enjoyed it. These are my 3 favourite outfits from it. I really did enjoy the fact that they just lent into the wildness of this. I really was having a fun time. It's very Bridgerton. The silhouette of the Featherington's mother still does bother the hell out of me. But you know what? It is what it is. Like, none of it's historically accurate. I'm just looking forward to like what season 3 and 4 will bring. Who knows how many more seasons we'll get out of it. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the bouquet and the candle emoji, because if it were not for anything, it would be candles and flowers that were just everywhere in this, right? I mean, this is my aesthetic anyway, you know me. Like, if you saw my wedding video, you know that I love this aesthetic, the escapism of it. Very here for it. Could I ever afford to live that life normally? No. That's why I watch some TV and movies about it. It's a happy little escapism. But yeah, doesn't mean we can't assess things on a broader scale now, can it? Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you again next week. There will be the 2000s best of video next week, I promise. I just had to talk about Bridgerton whilst it's still in people's minds, you know? Okay. Bye. Now, of course, this is very easy to refer to the shit. They make it look so easy on RuPaul's Drag Race. Come on. GRWM. Oh, that feels good. Okay, sorry.